Today, we're diving into a really cool experiment that flips a common idea on its head. It asks a pretty radical question. What if the best way to solve a really tough problem is to just stop trying to solve it for a while? It sounds kind of crazy, I know, but this idea might just be the key to unlocking real, genuine creativity in AI. I mean, think about it. We've all seen the headlines about AI mastering these incredibly complex games, right? Stuff like Go or chess. But have you ever stopped to wonder why that very same AI, that super genius AI, can't just invent a new game from scratch? That one question right there, it points to this massive gap in artificial intelligence. The difference between just getting really, really good at one thing and actually having a new, creative, original thought. And this slide, it really puts that gap into perspective. On one side, you've got Mother Nature. Evolution is messy, it's unpredictable, there's no single goal. And yet, look what it's produced. Flight, eyeballs, our own brains. Then, on the other side, you have how we usually build AI. It's totally focused, it's closed off, it's all about mastering one single task. And yeah, it's super powerful for that, but it's not inventive, not in the same way. So that brings us to this really fascinating field of research called open-ended evolution, or OEE for short. And the goal here is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. It's to build AI that doesn't just get better at climbing one mountain, but an AI that can actually discover entirely new mountains to climb all on its own. It's all about bridging that gap between just optimizing and truly innovating. Okay, so how on earth do you even begin to study something that huge? Well, a team of researchers from Nagoya University did something pretty clever. They built a kind of digital petri dish, a virtual sandbox, really, where they could run their own version of evolution and set all the rules. And here they are. Meet the little inhabitants of that sandbox. These blocky 3D virtual creatures are our pioneers in this experiment. Now, I know, they might not look like much, but their entire existence, from their body shape to how they move, is all controlled by a digital genetic code that's constantly evolving. So here's a quick look at their entire life cycle. It all kicks off with a genetic blueprint. You can think of it like their DNA. That code then tells the creature how to grow, how to build itself out of all these little blocks. The final body it creates, its phenotype, determines how it can behave. And finally, it gets put to the test. In this world, fitness is just a score based on how well it can move towards a sound. The ones that do the best, they get to pass on their genes to the next generation. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, but this is where things get really, really interesting. Because the researchers decided to just throw a massive curveball right into the middle of this nice, simple evolutionary process. They introduced a huge twist. The idea was surprisingly simple. Picture a world-class athlete who's just hit a plateau. To break through it, their coach might tell them to stop running for a while and take up, say, swimming instead. They build new muscles, develop new skills. The researchers wondered, what if you could do the exact same thing for digital evolution? So here's how they set it up. In phase 1, the creatures were evolving for what we'll call task A. Their score, their fitness, was based on two things: having lots of body parts and hearing a sound really well. This image you're seeing is basically a map of all the possible creature designs they came up with. Each little dot is a creature, and the bright yellow spots are the ones that were best at the task. And then they pulled the rug out from under them. The rules changed completely, overnight. The AI was basically told, forget about hearing that sound. It doesn't matter anymore. The new goal, task B, was to have lots of body parts and a big body volume. As you can see on the map, this completely forced the population of creatures to explore a totally different set of designs. So after a while of evolving for this brand new task, the researchers flipped the switch again, right back to the original goal of hearing the sound. But, and this is the most important part, the population of creatures coming back to this old problem was now fundamentally different. Because they went on that little detour to evolve for bigger bodies, they were now bringing a much wider variety of shapes and sizes to the table. So, this is the big question, isn't it? This is the moment of truth. Did this whole evolutionary cross-training idea actually work? Did taking a break from the main goal actually help these little creatures get better at it in the end? The results were frankly incredible. This graph tells the whole story. The blue line shows you the average performance. You can see it climbing steadily. Then there's that sharp dip. That's the moment they switch to the new task. But just look at what happens after they switch back. The performance doesn't just recover, it starts climbing again and ends up way higher than its old peak. And here's the number that proves it. After taking that detour, the creature's average performance was 0.11 points higher than the absolute best they ever did when they were only focused on the original task. That is a huge leap in performance, and it's all thanks to that strategic break. So why? Why did this work? Well, the researchers said it perfectly in their paper. They think the creatures had gotten stuck in something called a local optimum. Basically, they found a solution that was good, but not the best possible one. They were stuck on a small hill, not realizing there was a giant mountain right next to it. Changing the task forced them off that hill and allowed them to discover the mountain. Now let's make this really concrete. Let's compare two creatures, one from before the switch and one from after. They actually had the same number of body parts, but the post-switch creature was way bigger, and get this, it moved slower. And that slower movement turned out to be a brilliant new strategy that helped it stay closer to the sound, giving it a much higher score. It's a strategy it probably never would have found otherwise. All right, so this is all really fascinating for these little digital creatures, but what does it mean for the rest of us? What's the big picture here for the future of artificial intelligence? Well, this experiment, even though it's pretty small, it could be a powerful blueprint. It suggests that if we want to build truly creative, innovative AI, maybe we need to program it to, well, to get distracted, to change its goals, go explore things that seem totally unrelated, and then come back to the original problem with a whole new perspective. And really, that leaves us with one last big thought. We spend so much of our own lives trying to just grind it out, to optimize for one specific goal. But if forcing an AI to take a break from that grind is what unlocks these amazing creative solutions, what does that say about our own creativity? Something to think about.